This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by Real Vision, the on-demand online video subscription service for investors. Swing over to realvision.com/marijuana to check out an excerpt of their newly produced 30-minute documentary on the ins and outs of investing in Canada's legal marijuana market, and to sign up for your free 14-day trial membership, which lets you access their entire catalog of professionally produced finance videos. Do your portfolio a favor today and hoover up all the good cannabis investing insight you can by opening up realvision.com/marijuana, with real spelled REAL, realvision.com/marijuana. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, December 13th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 392 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is the big news out of Massachusetts that the state's Cannabis Control Commission voted in favor on Monday of a plan to allow for businesses to offer space where their customers can consume marijuana. This is an issue we've touched on a number of times over the last couple of years, as various states and cities have tried and mostly failed to introduce rules and regulations allowing for some measure of legal social use. Right now, the city of Denver is the closest in terms of allowing for public social use, though it will still be months before they finalize reviewing their first applicant, which was turned in just last week. In a bit of awesome disclosure on this one, it was Cannabis Control Commission member Shalene Title, who is an on-hiatus regular on our regular show Marijuana Today, who introduced and successfully lobbied for the public social use plan. The final set of rules governing how Massachusetts will deal with adult use legalization will be finalized sometime in March, with businesses being free to open in the 1st of July. This is an excellent story to read in full, and nice work, Shalene. The state of Colorado just released, for the first time ever, detailed stats for how legal marijuana sales have gone over the last few years. Up until early this week, the state only released sales tax figures for legal cannabis, both medical and adult use, leaving media outlets like the Cannabist to derive formulas for estimating total sales from the tax info. Thankfully, now the state says they'll be putting out a much deeper set of data on a monthly basis, showing the actual totals for what adult use and medical cannabis bring in. This is a win for the industry, as the numbers should be helpful in convincing cash-strapped state legislatures of the wisdom of embracing legal marijuana. Swing over to the Cannabist on this one to find a link to the state's website with historic sales data stretching back to 2014. I think my favorite stat released is the $4.25 billion that's flowed through Colorado legal dispensaries since 2014. Our final top story of the day swings us up to my corner of the country here in Maine, where state lawmakers are picking back up on their work to implement the legal adult use marijuana sales program passed by voters via ballot initiative in the fall. This is another story that we've covered well on the show, with Maine's embarrassment of a governor, Paul LePage, stepping in at the last minute to drop a veto on legislation that had been crafted over most of the year by a bipartisan committee of lawmakers. With Maine's Republican legislators upholding LePage's veto, the committee chairs who worked on the legislation say they will soon start work to find a compromise that they would be happy with. We'll continue tracking this one over the coming months as things develop. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Real Vision, the on-demand online video subscription service for investors. Real Vision's kind of like Netflix for finance videos, in that they offer a deep catalog of professionally produced content that's freely available to their subscribing members. They're sponsoring today's show because they just put up a 30-minute documentary highlighting important things that you should know before diving into investing in Canada's legal cannabis market. Arm yourself with all of the knowledge and wisdom that you need today by opening up realvision.com/marijuana to check out an excerpt of their Canadian cannabis documentary, and to sign up for a free 14-day trial membership that will allow you to view their entire catalog of finance flicks. One more time, that's realvision.com/marijuana, with real spelled REAL, realvision.com/marijuana. All right, time for the blitz. UK-based Pharma just announced that they've closed on a round of funding totaling $317 million. The company, which is working to develop a number of cannabis-derived pharmaceutical drugs to treat various kinds of epilepsy, will use the proceeds of the round to fund their operations as they seek FDA approval. Colorado Public Radio is a good piece up looking at the issue of homelessness in the Mile High State and the contribution that legal marijuana is thought to have made to the problem. As their story points out, it's not quite so cut and dry to blame legalization for the increase in homelessness, with one recently conducted annual survey of homeless people failing to show large numbers of out-of-state folks coming in to experience legal marijuana. This is a good one to click over for the full read. Canadian licensed medical marijuana provider the Marican Group will partner up with Level Drugs, the province of Ontario's oldest pharmacy chain, to distribute medical marijuana via delivery by mail. The deal will allow the Marican Group to access Level Drugs' customer base, who will be able to take delivery of ordered products by Canada Post. Fast Company has a good story looking at how California's recent troubles with wildfires will impact the state's rollout of Proposition 64. As their story points out, the most recent round of wildfires came at a particularly bad point for the industry, as farmers have prepared for the end of summer harvest. The picture isn't super clear on how the fires will actually affect prices and availability, so I'm sure we'll be touching back on this one as the new year progresses. Newsweek has a wonderfully out-of-touch headline on a story asking if Attorney General Jeff Sessions will be changing his mind about legal marijuana in the face of a federally funded study showing that teens in legal marijuana states are using less cannabis than they have in recent years. Regular listeners know the answer to that. Of course he won't be. Attorney General Sessions shares a trait with most prominent marijuana prohibitionists in that they tend to ignore data and information that rejects their worldview while pouncing all over any out-of-context number that supports it. It's a nice thought, but legal cannabis won't be totally in the clear, federally speaking, at least until after Sessions is properly drummed out of office for that whole collusion with Russians thing. The state of New Jersey will be swearing in its new governor in the next few weeks, with newly elected Gubernator Phil Murphy pledging to legalize adult-use marijuana via the legislative process within the first 100 days of his term. Mary Jane took a good long-form look at what the actual chances of that happening are, which is worthy of a click over and read. In short, while there's plenty of support for legal cannabis within the Garden State's state legislature, there's enough opposition to make things interesting. And finally for today, we wrap up north of the border in Canada, where licensed medical marijuana provider Hydropathy says they're expanding their cultivation footprint to boost their annual production capabilities to more than 237 pounds of cannabis flower. The company has purchased a 78-acre lot next to one of its existing Quebec facilities and will fully build out their new cultivation digs by December of next year. Those are headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Real Vision, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.